Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. This week I'm coming to you on a Wednesday with something slightly different to what we normally have on this channel. This is going to be episode 1 of a new little mini-series that I'm calling Kayakers Kitchen, Cooking Made Simple. I know a lot of people who watch this channel are maybe interested in cooking more food of their own, but they're intimidated by it. They're intimidated by recipes and by processes and what you have to do and time. And to be honest with you, cooking food is super easy, and I cook at home all the time. And I just want to try and break down the barriers for people a little bit and make the whole cooking process a bit less intimidating and a bit less scary, because it is actually pretty simple. And you can save a ton of money on cooking food at home versus eating out all the time or eating takeout or ready meals. A lot better for you to cook at home. And it's actually pretty easy once you've got a few things dialed in. I'm not an excellent cook, but the reason I'm able to hammer people on Instagram all the time with sick food photos is that mostly I just find recipes of things that I want to cook, and then I follow the recipe. And it's pretty easy, right? It doesn't have to be crazy hard or crazy difficult. Some recipes are difficult for sure, but I wanted to just share some things that are going to make it easier for you, some things so you're less intimidated about stuff, some little tips and tricks that I have, and share some recipes that I've been cooking lately that I'm really into. So this week for episode 1, we're going to be cooking out of a recipe book, which is my favorite thing right now. It's called Thug Kitchen, Eat Like You Give a Fuck. Really sick cookbook, really easy to follow and also hilariously written. It's so funny. Sometimes I'll just read the recipe, I'm not even gonna cook it, I'm just it's so funnily written. If you haven't already, go check it out. If you can check it out online or whatever, check it out online. We're gonna be making a recipe right out of that cookbook called spiced chickpea wraps with tahini dressing. It's gonna be super fun. It's actually super easy. It sounds like it's gonna be crazy, but it's actually gonna be pretty straightforward. We're gonna do I'm gonna move you to here, some close-up video here, so you can see kind of what it looks like, and then I'm gonna eat it, and that's gonna be that. So first up, we're gonna make our tahini dressing. Before you start, you're gonna need a big glass to mix it in. You're gonna need a fork. And to make sure you don't fuck it up, you're gonna need something to measure a bunch of stuff with. So I'm gonna use these little measuring spoon things, and I'm gonna use this quarter cup measuring device. But if you don't measure it out, you're gonna fuck it up. So measure everything correctly. All right, that's step 1. We get a quarter cup of tahini. This stuff is for sure in your local grocery store. It's just hidden away on normally the world foods aisle or Asian food aisle. It's made from sesame seeds. It's just I don't know, ground up into a butter or something, or a paste. I don't know how to describe really a paste. It's friggin' delicious anyway. It's really good for you. But yeah, like I said, really important that you measure all your shit out. Otherwise you're gonna make a mistake somewhere along the line for 100%. So get that little guy to a quarter of a cup of tahini. Put it in your cup. Make sure you get it all in there. It's kind of a bit pasty, so. Put the lid on that before you spill it on yourself. And then get that out of the way. Next up, we're gonna need 3 tablespoons of warm water. So I'm gonna get my little tablespoon measure. I'm gonna fill it with warm water 3 times. It's better if you just do this right by the tap. Tablespoon and a half of lemon juice, which is probably in the baking aisle of your supermarket. Same again, measure it out, otherwise you're gonna fuck it up. Tablespoon of rice vinegar, again probably hanging out in your supermarket in the world foods aisle or Asian food aisle or whatever. Delicious, really good for this sauce. Don't try and substitute it with any other kind of vinegar. Don't be oh, just freeball, whatever. You're gonna mess up. Don't do that. Tablespoon of olive oil. Again, measure it out. Don't just free pour it. Otherwise, you're gonna have too much oil in there. It's gonna be a mess. Don't get this shit on your clothes because it won't come out. A teaspoon of soy sauce. When you're reading recipes, don't make the mistake between teaspoon and tablespoon. Like, read that shit carefully. And then it's easy not to make a mistake. Don't spill this on your clothes, otherwise it's gonna be a big mess. Like, just as big as the oil, to be honest, maybe even bigger. And then lastly, for our sauce, we need 2 cloves of garlic crushed up. This whole thing is called a bulb of garlic. One of these little guys is a clove. We're gonna need 2 of those. And I wanna add this into here, but I don't just wanna throw it in. I need it to be minced. For this, I'm gonna use a special little tool, which is called a garlic press. Again, it's probably at the supermarket, like, go look for it. It's probably hanging at the end of the aisle with like spatulas and stuff. You just put the garlic in there and then like, you see that? Get your fork up in there, get all that garlic in there. It's freaking delicious. It's really good for you, especially if you're kayaking a lot and it's cold. This can help you stay healthy. Good for your guts, just so you know. Mix that up. Once it's looking good, you're just gonna put that whole thing in the fridge. Then the sauce is gonna go like nice and thick. Like right now you can see it's kind of watery or whatever. But we're gonna put that just like that right in the fridge. And it's gonna thicken up while we cook our chickpeas. Next up, we're gonna cook our chickpeas. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the hob on to like medium high. Get a frying pan on there. Let that guy heat up for a little bit. While it's heating up, you're gonna go find some spices. You're gonna need paprika, cumin, garlic powder. You're also gonna need some lemon juice, soy sauce, and maple syrup. You're gonna need your measuring spoons again. And you're gonna need 3 cups of chickpeas, which is about 2 cans. Let that pan heat up for a second. Put a tiny bit of oil in there to warm it up. Okay, so once you've got that oil hot, you're gonna run it around the pan a little bit, spread it all out so it's not all in one thick glob. You're gonna put all your chickpeas in there. And you're gonna let them pretty much do nothing. Just let them cook off. Don't touch them too much, don't futz with them too much. You can spread them out a little bit if you want to, then just leave them. Just leave them, let them cook for like a few minutes. Turn them occasionally until they're delicious and they're starting to look more like yellow and golden. Obviously they start yellow, but they'll be like, you'll see it, they're like kind of cracking and like golden color. So yeah, just do nothing. That's the key here. The key to this meal is do less. Do less than you think you need to. Don't know if you can hear that, but the chickpeas are starting to sizzle real good, which is a good sign. Give them a little turn. And then go back to scrolling through Instagram or whatever it is you're doing while you're also cooking this meal. You can kind of start to see some of that color change on some of these chickpeas here, like this little guy. But they're not quite in that like all like more uniformly golden and cracking yet. So just let them be. Don't play with them too much. I know it's tempting. I know you want to flip them all the time. Just leave it. Another minute and a half. Then we'll move on to the next step. All right, now we're starting to see a little bit more color change, a little bit more uniformity. Smell delicious. We can move on to our next step. Get your measuring spoon. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Don't be tempted to just like freeball pour lemon juice in there because you will fuck it up. Give that a little stir around. You're gonna do a teaspoon of soy sauce. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of maple syrup. Absolutely never use that garbage Aunt Jemima high fructose corn syrup. Like, read the ingredients before you buy it. That's all it should have. Maple syrup and nothing else. Give that stuff a good mix around. So you can see it all kind of starting to change color. And we're just gonna let all that liquid cook off for like 30 seconds. Literally all I'm doing right now is following the recipe. Like, I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this today, but read the recipe, follow the recipe. That's all you have to do. Now that liquid's starting to cook off, we're gonna do some more measuring. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of paprika. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of cumin. We're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon. There's a little separate measure of 1/2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Then you're gonna mix that stuff all around so it covers all of the chickpeas. And once you're like pretty satisfied that it's covering pretty much all the chickpeas, you're just gonna leave it. Just like let it cook, let it be for, I don't know, like a minute, 2 minutes, or whatever it says in the recipe. All right, those are looking pretty tight. Last thing we're gonna do is make this into a wrap, and then we're gonna eat it. That's it. Cooking, made, simple, mostly by just following the recipe. So last thing we're gonna do is make this into a wrap. You wanna take a little bit of time here and make your food look nice when it goes onto the plate. You do a lot of eating kind of like with your eyes, and you're like, no, I don't, I eat only with my mouth. But like if your food's presented like pretty nicely on the plate, you'll appreciate it a lot more. So you're just gonna take your time, and you know the main reason you wanna do it is just for those Instagram shots, right? So you're gonna take a whole wheat wrap. We've got that tahini sauce that we made earlier on today, which has been thickening in the fridge and is looking delish. Put a big dollop of that on there. You can go pretty hard on this, that was pretty good. Spread that out somewhat evenly, doesn't matter too much. Next up, I'm gonna throw some nice greenery on there. We've got some spinach leaves, which you're just gonna break up so that you're pretty much just breaking these up for 2 reasons. 1, because they look delicious, but they look more delicious. And 2, so when you bite into it, you don't get like one big massive leaf coming at you all at once. So, you know, that's practical, right? Got my spinach leaves on there. You wanna put in about 1/4 of the chickpeas, because if you're reading this recipe, it makes enough for about 4 wraps. So about 1/4 of the chickpeas. Tidy that up a little bit. That is about ready. So there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for following along with this one. I'm really interested to get your thoughts on what you think about this series or this type of video. I know it's very different to the usual like kind of just kayaking stuff that I have on this channel, but it's something I'm really interested in, and I really want to help people kind of break down the barriers a little bit in terms of being scared about just cooking and just going for it. Like, it's actually super easy to cook food and to cook really good food at home. It just takes your ability to like Google a recipe and then follow a recipe. So like if you can read and you can use Google, you can cook at home. So let me know in the comments if you liked this, or if you're like, this is total garbage, I never want to see this ever again. Let me know. I find your feedback very important to me. I'm always down there. I read all the comments. If you don't already, make sure you hit subscribe, like the video, etc. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you next Monday probably for like more regularly scheduled content. Peace.